Hi guys, I'm John. Today I will be working on a Netflix recommender system. And mainly we will be working with Python and SQL and some Power BI. Let's get to it.
So what we will do is that we will take a look at the dataset, and then we will decide some features that we want to use between titles to see how appropriate the recommendations are. We will use cosine similarity, and let's get started. The first things we do is we import the some dependencies. So we have numpy as np, pandas as pd, and then we import SQLite 3, and that's for the SQL manipulation we will do a bit later. So import data. This is my data. I call it netflix1.csv, and I read into this variable data, and then I make it a data frame, call it data frame. And here, you might wonder why I did this. As it turns out, is that on row 6218, there's something funky going on with the title, right? So take a look at this. The Memphis Belle, a story of a new line, Flying Fortress. As it turns out, if you export this file to Power BI, it's gonna muck up the data pretty bad. So what we will do is we will manually fix this line right now. And literally what we do is just like data underscore df at, well, the row, and in the column title, I just made sure that there's no new line in this name, right? So then we check it out, title, no new line. So that's good. Then we can continue. And here comes a bit of the SQL. So the first thing we do, basically we are creating the database. Then we do a cursor object. I didn't really use the cursor one in this tutorial, so you don't have to mind this one for now. Then we see the database, which means that we put information into it. And basically what I did was just call it Netflix database, right? And fill it with data underscore df. I think it's appropriate that we run this, right? There you go. Everything is as it should. It's beautiful. Did you see that? We created a database. And I can show you now it's going to be empty, right? No tables. So then we just move on to this one, right? We see the database. And now, you open the Netflix one. Boom. Here you have the data. And basically what I did after that is select star from Netflix DB. That means select all the columns from Netflix database. This is our database data frame. As you can see, there's an index row, show ID, type of movie, title, director, country, date added, release year, rating, duration, listed in. So that's genres and so on. So since we want to create a recommender system, right? To me, I was thinking, okay, what are the columns I want to base this recommendation on? And I thought the title, director, rating, and listed in, as in the genres, that this would be the appropriate columns. So I use this SQL command, and I select these columns, like I said, and I make it a new data frame. You know, in reality, you should not make data frames this often, I think. I just do it now, so to keep track, okay? Boom. And then df reduced, I call this one, right? So here we go, title, director, rating, and listed in. And now we're going to make a new column. For this new column that I will create now, a combined features, we will take for each row the title, director, rating, and listed in, and concatenate them all into one column. And one way you can do that is by using SQL commands like this. Here, df reduced, a new column, combined features. And then this is what we do. Read SQL, select title, space, director, space, rating, space, listed in as this new column. That means that in the database and in our data frame, we create this combined features column. And this is what it looks like. df reduced. You don't have to do this with the SQL commands, right? SQL. I should be consistent with what I say. I will say SQL from now on, okay? You don't have to do this in SQL. You can do this in pandas. I just did it this way to get some SQL in our programming as well. And it's pretty easy to do it in SQL. I thought this was a good way to do it. So here's our combined features. And then you see, okay, the first row. Dick Johnson is dead. Kirsten Johnson, PG-13, documentaries, everything is concatenated. And then I noticed something interesting. When we look at the directors, we have this overwhelming amount of not given, right? This is also one of the reasons why I chose the parameters I did. So there will be a lot of different films or shows that will be scoring high points because of the not given, right? So that's why I chose some more features, because see the similarity score between different features, because not given is gonna give, like, you could get PG-13 show, and then you could get a documentary that's for mature audiences that it would show a high score of similarity because of the not given name, right? So ideally, you would probably want to take care of this one in a different way, but I chose not to this time, right? Rajiv Shilaka has 20 titles in this data set, so I was like, yeah, well, it's a pretty good director to start with, right? As an example. And I located the one of the titles was at index 511. And now it's time to move on to the actual purpose of the video. So we import some more dependencies. What we do now is we create this count matrix variable, and we call this count vectorizer, this function, and we transform the column combined features into vectorized data, which is just like you represent the text as decimal numbers in arrays, right? Here we go. Boom. Interesting. Combined features does not exist, right? Key error combined features. Okay, let's see. I forgot to run this one. You know, that's not good. Yeah, baby, we did it. Here you see the array. And what you see here, when you see this one dot, that means that the title is comparing it with itself, right? So this is true for the next row. This one is true, third row, this is one true, blah, blah, blah. And then the scores you see to the sides of the ones are how other titles measure up with the particular one, okay? Let's build the recommender system now. Now we're just gonna check that everything matches up. The index and the title and so on. Okay, so in this one that I chose above, 511, the title is Beam versus Aliens. We were just gonna check that everything matches up. 511, the title is Beam versus Aliens. Okay, good. So what we want to do now is we want to create a list of indexes and similarity score based on this movie, right? I chose the movie Beam versus Aliens. So we want to make a list of all the shows and movies in our dataset that matches up with this title, okay? The way we do that is we make this list. It's a tuple, really, like a list of pairs. C is not defined again. Come on. There we go. Okay. For each particular ID number, we get a similarity score. That's what we do. And all right, we want to sort the list. What we want to have is, like, we want to have the highest score matching up and then we want it to go down, right? So we get like a top list. We sort it, and with this little function, lambda function, basically says that in scores, so this list, right? For each position, we take index number 1. Index number 1 is this. It's a score. So let's run this one. And here you go. So these are the ideas that match up with the show or movie that we chose, right? You can see 82%, 78%, 78, blah, blah, blah. And then what we can do is that we can make a list of the titles. So in this one, I would choose take top 25 similar films to the title that we chose, Beam versus Aliens, right? And basically we just iterate through our sorted scores, and then if the index at position index 0 in item, our variable that we created here, if the title is the same as the index number in sorted scores, then we match the title with the idea, right? And here I just choose that, okay, we increment the counter variable I, and if I is bigger than or equal to 25, we break from the loop. So let's do this. Okay. So this list kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because we saw from the names, this is the same name. And here you see this one though, might not be the same thing, right? And this one might not be the same series. This is obviously based on this name here, right? So it saw the similarity between the names, and then it thought, well, you might like this. That's the idea, right? That's the recommended system. We recommend based on the similarity score, and it's chosen from, well, the title and everything else, okay? So this is why we get results like this. We did it. We have made our recommender system. What I want to do is I want to make save the scores and the Netflix idea into a separate variable, a data frame rather. And then I'm just gonna check it out. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to migrate the data, and then I want to open it up in Power BI. So what we do is we convert it to CSV, and here I just double check to see that there's no new line here, right? All right, now, so now we have a scores CSV and we have a Netflix CSV. These two files we will be opening up in Power BI. All right, so we are in Power BI right now. We want to push this button, get data, and CSV. As you recall, I saved my files as CSV. And here we go, scores and Netflix. So let's start with scores. Open. It will load for a little bit. Okay, so Netflix ID, score, looks good. Load. Sometimes this takes a while for the data to load in, but don't worry. Okay, here we go. Scores, Netflix ID, score. Okay, good. Let's see. Netflix ID, data type, whole number. That's good. Score. Huh. Data type, text. That's no bueno. What we do is we make this decimal. Yes. All right, there we go. Now let's head back to get data, because now we want to have the Netflix CSV, this one, open. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, so what we want to do is that we want to add an index column to the Netflix dataset, right? So what we do is we press transform data. And we check in Netflix. And then we press add column. And here you see index column, yes. From 0, yes. All right. So after we add this column, we push close and apply. So it will update the dataset. As you can see, now we have an index. And let's see, maybe we should take this one as sort ascending. Yeah, now it looks like the way it should look like. All right. So the reason why I'm doing this is because we want to match the index with the Netflix ID that I have in this dataset, the scores table, right? But first, we want to go to our relations. And what we want to do is we want to manage relations. Let's see here. Manage relationships. Push new. And from Netflix to scores, yes. From index in Netflix to Netflix ID. It sounds like I'm saying idea, Netflix ID. We do it like this, one to many, because from Netflix index, we want to be able to get, well, match it with the ID and then with score. There we go. So for our purpose, we are just gonna make some very simple visuals. So let's start with a table. Here you go. And what you do is that you add columns. And let's see, what do we want to have? We want to have title. And we want to have score. And we want to have, let's say, just if you want to get recommended, maybe you want to know, okay, I want to know what country the show is made from. What country this show is made in, right? So let's see. And what we want to do is, so as you can see, what we have is title, sum of score, and country. We don't want sum of score. So let's take a look here at score. Don't summarize. Okay, now it's starting to look like something. Okay, so what we see here is the scores, how similar they are to our chosen title. Um, let's sort the scores and let's sort them by, let's say, we have to have a threshold, like if they are 72% in similarity. So what we can do is greater than or equal to. I'm literally sorting the score through the filters now. And let's write 0.72, something like that. Let's see. Apply filter. Okay. So how many titles? 2, 9 titles. Okay. Let's make it 70 maybe. And if you want to change the size of this table, what you can do is you can go, you have it checked like this, right? Then you go to format your visual, then you go to values, and then here you see. Okay, so we have size number 9. Let's increase that one a little bit. Now we have 10. Okay, that's good. So here we see title, score, and country. This is just a very basic visual, and we will make one more. Maybe we should make a donut chart. All right, there we go. And what would we want to have here? Let's start with title. Then the values will be sorted by the score. And details, let's have director. What we want to do is we want to sort this one, the scores, again. And let's do what we did before. So basically what we get here is a donut chart with the titles that have the high score that we have in our score table. And when you hover over, you can see like, okay, the title is The Rise of Kirmada, director Rajiv Shelaka, okay, Kung Fu Dhamaka, director, blah, blah, blah. This was just a very simple way of putting up a visual. So you can see sum of score and title and director. You would imagine that you would implement this another way if you were actually working on the Netflix platform, right? But it's just a nice way of showing how you could visualize the results. Obviously, you can do this in Python. You don't have to use Power BI for this. It was just a fun idea to try out some SQL, Python, and Power BI and kind of see how it all works together. So I hope you found this interesting.